Hi everyone, it's Renee with Not Sorry for This Story, an unapologetic take on current affairs. Well, let me get right to the point. Since last year, I have done about 2 episodes of Not Sorry for This Story on the pandemic and what has been unfolding. The first one was April of last year, and it was called Their Pandemic Plans for You. Pardon me. The second one was in September, and it was Hibernation Warning. Now I am back with not only the pandemic, but to throw in a bonus for you. Last week there were 3 news stories that were of particular interest, and my ears shot up. And I just want to share them with you in case you did not hear. Number 1, Premier Doug Ford in Ontario gave those in his caucus an ultimatum last Thursday that by 5 o'clock they had to be on board for being vaccinated. Otherwise, they would be kicked out of the caucus. One MPP gave a medical exemption, and the other, before the 5 o'clock deadline, he declared, gave a press conference, that he and his wife have already made a decision, and he was holding the premier to what he had originally said and hoped for, and he would not be taking the vaccine. I have to say, when I heard that story, I was extremely disappointed in our Ontario government. And the reason being is because for those who said they would not be vaccinated or were slow to do it, whatever the case may be, when you give that ultimatum to your caucus, you're really giving it to Ontarians, because if you think those are the only ones in that caucus that have those same beliefs, you are sadly mistaken. And so it was like an ultimatum was being given to all Ontarians, and it was not only extremely disappointing, but it was just wrong. Who gets an ultimatum like that? Well, I have to say, actually in some workplaces it is coming down the chute, and as we've seen over these last few days, government, companies, it's like a new announcement every single day about those that are going to be requiring it. The second story that caught my attention was the Prime Minister. He said that the unvaccinated would not be permitted to board domestic flights or to travel interprovincially by getting on a train. Not too sure when that takes effect. It might be immediately. But again, along with Premier Ford's announcement, that was one to take note of. And I have to say, these things, no matter how many organizations you hear suddenly coming with this mandate now, it is illegal and it is unconstitutional. As an employer, you are supposed to have already had this in your employee's contract, according to several lawyers, before you want to present this now and say it's going to be mandated. And also, going about travel, there is the freedom and right of mobility. We are not at the height of the pandemic as we were last year when there were emergency orders. Yes, there might be a new wave that is now unfolding, but is not the height of what we once knew. I'm going to say it again. These mandates are illegal and they are unconstitutional, and you need to know this. And Canadians, as we go into the election, I'm going to add a bonus that does not have to do with the pandemic. But you happen to notice that every time an election comes about, the issue of abortion, topic of abortion comes up, when really no one's necessarily talking about it like it's a main, let's say, one of the campaign themes or topics. Usually it's the economy, housing. So it never gets that billing, that top billing, although it has to do with life, so it should. However, it always is brought up because they're always seeking to trip up the conservatives. That's just the reality. You just have to look back on several campaigns and know that. But it was very interesting. This past week they tried to trip up Mr. O'Toole, and he is pro-choice, but he also said that not only is he pro-choice, but he believes in also giving room for doctors' conscience to be at play in the equation. And the Prime Minister came about with a very interesting line. He said, I think Mr. O'Toole has forgotten that pro-choice means that it's not for the freedom of doctors to choose, but the freedom of women. And here's the challenge. That statement alone, here's the challenge with rights. Somebody's rights is always going to trump another group's rights. And this is the challenge with rights. We might go, yay, yay, rights, rights. But somebody's rights are always going to be trumped. So you're hearing now, going back to the pandemic, that, okay, yes, for the safety and good of all, this is why certain things are being put in place. So the individual's rights are being trumped for the collective, so they say. This is a challenge with having a society based on rights solely. One of them is going to attempt to knock the other out. And what shall we do then? We are on the move towards an election, September 20th. If you have not heard, get ready, Canadians, get ready. I would say to you that if you'd like to follow and hear a bit more of some of these views, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at not SRY, the number 4, story. Not sorry for the story. And you will hear some more views there. But I want us to be aware and awake. And if you are vaccinated and you're like, whew, I'm all in the clear now, you really need to look around at what is happening. The Premier said last month he's not going to do vaccine passports because he doesn't want to have a split society. You see what's being set up right now. I hope you can see it. You should be able to even predict what's about to happen in the weeks and months ahead if you're looking closely. But he said, I don't want to have a split society. Then he went missing. And then we heard an ultimatum from him. This is what's happening. Whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you need to be very weary and leery of what is unfolding right now. Not because you happen to find yourself on the right team. Think again. Because it's those who think that, oh, I am safe, that really are not. This is Not Sorry for the Story. I'm Renae Jarrett. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. I need more subscribers. I know there are others that want to hear an unapologetic take on current affairs, especially in Canada. God bless you. And may you know what it really means in the days ahead to be safe. There's only one who provides that. It's not our government leaders. It's not a vaccine. Have a great day.